So we are now joined by an actor who was in one of my favorite shows, Arrow, but he was also in Kingdom, which just dropped on Netflix this past, actually it was July 1st. And so he was in both those shows. He was in the Black Donnellys, which Ryan loves. It is Kirk Acevedo. How are you, sir?
Doing well. How are you guys?
We're good,
Great.
man. Good. So how have you been these last couple months?
In solitary.
in your new home, is that what you've been doing these last couple months?
I mean, we've just been locked down. You know, California's just been shut down the whole time pretty much. So, especially my industry is like, it's dead. I mean, there's nothing going on. Yeah.
They haven't nobody's hit you up to do anything. You're just kind of hanging out.
There's just nothing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no, like, there's going to be no films. I mean, I'm sure there's this little itty bitty independence, but who wants to die for, do you know what I mean? To do an independent. Like, there's just nothing going on because the bonding company hasn't figured out how to insure these films.
Yeah. No, I hadn't thought about that.
Makes sense.
It's going to be
the
a while.
biggest issue. That's the number one issue.
I wonder how Malcolm and Marie got insured.
Yeah, they did a film not too far from you in LA where it was like a 12-person crew with John David Washington and Zendaya, and I don't know how they got insurance on that. I
mean, but the question is, how much was it for?
Yeah, true. Yeah,
you know what I mean. So
yeah, it turns into like 20% of your budget because it's
Plus, like, was it something that was like we're already filming pre-pandemic? Did they just start up? I mean, it's just all those factors, and but the biggest issue is you could put films in a can, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you need movie theaters to open up because you will not recoup your money.
Yeah.
You can't put so you could charge $20 on iTunes or on your cable network or some streaming service, but I could have 10 people in my house watching that film. You see what I'm saying? So you lose money. They could only recoup their money if theaters are open. So a lot of the big movies like Mission Impossible that was supposed to start filming 6 and 7, like in Italy, and my buddy was in it, and he goes, they're not doing it until they get a vaccine to put people in the seats.
Oh, wow. So we're not going to get Mission Impossible for a while, it sounds like.
They haven't even, I mean, they were supposed to start filming in March.
Yeah.
We're August.
Yeah, and we're nowhere near a vaccine or, anywhere near where we can film.
I'm shocked a company would actually say, though, like, oh, let's just wait till the vaccine. Like, let's just wait for billions of dollars until we get a vaccine. Like, how does a company operate where a vaccine couldn't happen until maybe
January?
Because
next January, like not even this coming, but
correct.
Like next year.
No, they're thinking next year. The easy answer is because you're talking about a studio, right? The studio is just one part of a cog of it. They're conglomerates now.
Yep.
So if you look at something like Sony Pictures, that's 8% of their entire Sony bottom line.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they could eat that. Think about it. They go on strikes all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
They
eat those for like 3 or 4 months whenever the writers strike. So.
And it's different per company, right? Because like Disney is just eating it everywhere in their business. Theme parks are closed. Cruises are closed.
100,000 people laid off. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like they're effed until, something happens.
All of this goes away.
Yeah, Sony can sell the shit out of PlayStations and be fine. So.
Correct. TVs, exactly, like all that stuff. But, the worst part is that when it finally does come back, what part of it is going to, how much less will it come back to? Because there's going to be less.
Oh, yeah.
Because now companies are even more hesitant to invest in unproven product. That unproven product are TV shows. You know what I mean? Instead of doing 3, 5, 10 pickups a season, maybe they'll only do 2 shows, but they'll pick those up.
Yeah. We were talking about
10 less pilots.
The other day that, with AMC striking a deal with Universal, it's going to happen on the theater side too, because you're just going to have major chains. You're going to have the huge change in the cities. You're not going to have family run or small business theaters. Yeah. And it's just going to be like a different situation when we come out of this, where more things will be on VOD and we won't have as many theaters. Yeah. So it's just going to be one different world.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
I mean, listen, what was the Tenet? I'm been dying to see that. But like the thought that they were trying to release it twice, I'm thinking, these people are fucking idiots. Like, you're never going to release this. Like, listen, I don't know about you guys. When I go to a movie theater, I go to the first showing where it's empty and I could sit by myself. So I don't like sitting around anyone in general, let alone in a pandemic.
Yeah, right. Dude, we talk about Tenet literally every
episode. We bring up Tenet,
and we're
there's
like
something new.
We're like, just postpone it to next year. Just put us out of our misery. And like,
well, that's what they're gonna do, because I mean, it's it's got to be some idiot that's like, yes, it's a great. You know how much money?
It's someone at WB that's just like, we need this money now, right? Like,
you know what? That's actually a good question. Somebody needs money, whether it's that studio or those producers or whoever, but they're beholden to the studios. So the studio is gonna decide whether it opens or not. So
yeah, exactly.
So you're super excited for Tenet. You're ready for that to come out on, hopefully, what is it, the first weekend of September?
I love like sci-fi and anything that guy does. So
yeah,
I'm assuming it's sci-fi. So
yeah, it's gonna be super
it's
sci-fi.
Basically a sequel to Inception. Yeah,
it looks like something that's almost like a sequel.
You know what I love about his trailers? What's the director's name again?
Christopher Nolan.
Chris Nolan. What I love about his trailers, they're like Quentin Tarantino trailers. And what I mean by that is, if we remember Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs and all those, they look horrible. Like they're like, this film looks horrible.
Yeah.
His early trailers looked horrible. And I was like, but then the film is fucking brilliant. It's the same thing with Christopher Nolan's trailers. Like Inception trailer was like, huh?
The hell is going on here?
And then it's fucking brilliant. You're like, so that's the same thing with the Tenet video. It's kind of like, he doesn't show his best shit, is what I'm trying to say.
I don't know if you noticed though, like they released a series of trailers, and then in June, I think it was, they finally released a full one. But there was a scene that they had disincluded from every single other trailer. The scene where the gun goes in reverse and he can actually like pick up guns like force field, right?
Yes.
And so they hid that until 2 weeks before they thought the movie was going to come out, and then that just blows the door open on what the story is actually going to be. Like, what the hell can this guy do?
You know, it reminded me, to be honest, a lot of their shot selection, like, because the one's in a subway, correct? It just reminds me of Matrix. I'm sorry, it's got the Matrix written all over it.
But it's Matrix.
I worry about that.
It's Matrix with like manipulating physics instead of it like being an overarching world. Right? Yeah, because they do. It's just like the Matrix, but it's with
I'm sure it'll be a better Matrix 3.0. Better.
Yeah, it'll be better.
Than Nolan's like
coming out.
Nolan's already sussed that out too. I'm sure he's that guy that has his hand in every single cookie jar. So.
Oh yeah, and he's got it like meticulously, just that world built to a T.
When you hear he describes like how he like makes the movie or like the story, or like with Memento, he drew out the timeline. Yeah, he has all those things in his head well before he makes those.
He's like the sci-fi Stanley Kubrick, right?
Yeah. So you were in a show called Kingdom that dropped on Netflix at the beginning of July.
Let's start with Black Donnellys.
Let's go. Okay, let's do Black Donnellys.
Okay.
Ryan is super excited to talk to you about Black Donnellys.
Sure.
This still is one of my favorite shows. I go back and watch it at least like once every other year. So you, mistake me if I'm wrong, but you were the Italian in the show, right? Okay.
Correct.
And you were, I don't know if the lead, but you also played with one of your co-stars from Kingdom.
Jay was also in it.
He was young as hell back then.
Jonathan, actually, he got me in Kingdom.
Did you really?
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because I was a big boxing head, and so he called. He knew from back then, and he was like, I spoke to the showrunner, and I was like, I need you to meet him, blah, blah, blah. And that's how that came about.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's awesome. See, what happened
Good
with
guys,
Black
good guys.
Donnellys? Did they just not get picked up and just the reception wasn't there? Because, I mean, there's
Yeah,
like a cult following for it that just is obsessed with it.
Yeah, you know, when we did the Black Donnellys, it was that downtime for NBC. You know, they couldn't get, you know, it just, you know, they lost Friends and Frasier. Like they lost like every sign for like within 2 years they lost every one of their big shows.
Yeah.
And that pilot was arguably one of the best pilots I've seen in a long time. I saw Steven Spielberg on the street, and he goes, true story, he goes, "Joe Toy, I just saw your pilot. Best pilot I've seen all year."
Yes.
Damn.
It's so good, dude.
That's from Spielberg. And so, Paul Haggis directed that, the pilot.
Yeah.
So it just, I don't, you know, to be honest with you, I don't know why they didn't pick it up. Whoever, we didn't get a lot. I think we got like 8 million viewers or 7.5 million. That's always an issue. Now, those would be massive numbers right now.
Numbers.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, I remember Mark Cuban wanted to, like, he picked it up for his channel and wanted to run with it, but no one could get the money for it or whatever. So it's a shame because I want to know where they fucking ended up. I want to know where that van ended up with the Donnelly family.
Yeah. And for me, I wanted to kill a couple of the Donnellys off.
I'm sure you did, dude. Like, yeah.
Just anticlimactic, man. I was like, seriously, let me
But
kill
you got
some
one
of
of them in that scene, right? Like,
I don't remember.
I think it was the mom got shot. The mom died.
So I mean that's like 13 years ago. I
yeah,
think.
it was a minute. I was in fucking high school.
Yeah,
Middle school. That was a while ago.
it was a minute.
Yeah. But then you joined Jonathan in Kingdom, who plays Jay, and you play this character who kind of gets into the gym in the third season of the final season of Kingdom. What was it like joining that cast, and what was it like playing the character who kind of is really looking out for himself and trying to get in with these people?
Yeah, no, the good thing. So, you know, I knew Jonathan, so that's always, you know, a comfort zone, like going onto a new set, especially a show that's already established. Like it's like, you know, going to work for the first time.
Yeah.
You're uncomfortable. And it's even worse when all eyeballs are on you.
Yeah.
And you got to do stuff that's intimate and, you know, sex scenes and stuff like that. Like it's awkward, man. It's not fun. I don't, you know, so, and then also that crew, the crew they had was the old Prime Suspect crew that another show I did. So I knew the entire crew. So it was, I felt like home and stuff like that. So I enjoyed it. You know, they let me do what I want and had fun and stuff like that. So I thought I was going to do more physical stuff because the way Jonathan and the showrunner pitched it, Byron. But I'm glad I didn't because I hurt my back so bad deadlifting a week before I did that show. Like so bad.
What?
Yeah, like bad, like epidural bad. And so
damn.
I was like, it took me like 6 weeks into it to like recover, you know? Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's why like they're sparring and you're outside the cage like watching because you.
No, that's just the way it was written.
Yeah.
No one knew.
Oh,
no
seriously?
one knew. Oh no one knew. I mean, except my wife and you know my representation and you guys. Like I just never told anybody.
What
So.
would have happened
secret.
if they were like, "Hey, go do a suplex on Johnny
on
over
Ryan?
there."
Yeah, like on Ryan.
Listen, I would have done as much as I could. This is the thing: is you never let him see you sweat. You never let him see that you're hurt.
Yeah.
So it's just you know a pride thing with me, and I would never tell them unless it's something that I 100% could not do, and they wanted it, and then I would have to tell them, listen. So, but I would have done as much as I could have. So.
Yeah, just man up, get it done.
Yeah, man.
Just man up and do it. Yeah.
Well, Kingdom was put on Netflix and had the 3 seasons. Were you surprised it was canceled after that third season, or
it was picked up originally it had a weird, it was like Amazon or audience through something. Had a weird shingle that I never heard. And it was picked up. And then 4 days later, it got dropped, which I've never heard of that being done before.
That's super weird.
So a lot of people were upset. It was something about selling the rights. They agreed, and then they reneged, which is really in bad faith. And so now, correct me if I'm wrong, I heard something that it might get picked up again.
I think what they were saying was because it was put on Netflix that Netflix might try to do something with it, which whenever Netflix adds like a new show like that from another,
it's hard. You got to know Jonathan. Jonathan has a show.
Yeah.
Keely has a show. You got Frank.
I was gonna say,
so. What's it again?
I was gonna say, I think Frank's not in the MCU anymore, so he doesn't really.
No, he's available. I'm saying,
yeah.
You have Frank. He's available.
Yeah. No, I'd love to see more of it because it's a great show, and your character in it, you're with Ryan a lot, and there's a scene where, Frank Grillo's character Alvy was telling you like, hey, don't coach Ryan, don't do this, like.
Yeah.
We've never really been in the MMA world or like the boxing world. Is it that stringent where it's like you have one coach, and if anybody else tries to like coach another guy up, it's like hell no?
No.
Okay.
So how it goes is, so I actually have a couple of friends who actually fight, and this is how it works. You have your head coach. Mm-hmm. So let's say Alvy, Grillo is the head coach. So you then have a boxing coach.
Okay.
And then you then have a jiu-jitsu coach. And then you have a wrestling coach. But let's say your head coach is all around guy. He knows everything. That's your head coach. Mm-hmm. Then you have your boxing coach specifically for striking. And then you have somebody else, depending on who you're fighting. You have 3 people in your corner. So say you're fighting a wrestler, you'll have a wrestling coach. You're fighting a jiu-jitsu guy, you'll have a jiu-jitsu guy. So you have those 3 guys in your corner. They each could say something to you in a fight.
Okay. Interesting.
So I think it was more the dynamic of make his hands better, make his boxing better, but don't be fucking coaching him.
Yeah.
So I think it was more the dynamic. He didn't trust me, and I was the new guy. But if I was a real guy, there'd be no problem with giving notes and stuff like that.
At that point in his career, he was pro, but he wasn't like in big money UFC level yet, was he?
He had just basically signed like back with the promotion that he'd been with, and he was like at the top of that promotion, but he was also getting offers from the UFC. So,
yeah,
like,
that promotion could have been one
UFC.
step below.
Yeah.
So I'm sure like when you're trying to get up to that point, like you have your coach, and then you have whoever else can help.
Yeah.
But coach, what the coach says goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and mind you, at his level, he probably didn't have. I mean, no, you could, because he's at a top-notch gym. Like at the end of the day, even if you're not with the UFC or Bellator, and you're at the smaller gyms, you still go to like ATT or you're still at the, you're groomed as a what you call not an up-and-coming guy, but as a major prospect. So you're still at a top-flight gym, no matter what.
Right.
Okay. That's interesting.
And if that gym sends you out to fight, they're gonna send
like
the coaches you
those
need.
Dudes with you. You need.
I mean, listen, it was done for dramatic effect, right?
Yeah. The reason I ask is because like with no sports being on, we've watched a lot more UFC, and seeing something like that, like we've gotten really more interested in it. And so seeing scenes like that, my head immediately goes to like, how realistic is this? Or like, what would happen?
Plus, while we're watching this, some guy in the UFC has only his girlfriend in his corner.
Yes.
So we're like,
that is the first time that's ever happened.
I know.
Yeah, Mike Perry,
shit.
Well, and then
funny ass shit. And then he beat up an old man.
It's not in Lubbock, which is like 8 hours away from here. So yeah,
it's so great.
That is nuts.
Unfortunately, hopefully he's getting help.
Yeah, that's what we hope.
Yeah.
This is the problem though, is, fighters and boxers that I've met, the nicest, like unintimidating people, in the world. Because they know what they could do.
True.
They know that they don't have to intimidate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're secure with. And so, but the problem is when you're in a business of getting hit in your head and you get concussed over and over and over, there's going to be some side effects.
No.
You know, temper problems and, you know, stuff like that, like cognitive stuff. And so, you know, but still MMA is not, and I'm sure MMA guys would probably disagree with me, but they'd be wrong. MMA is less dangerous for the brain than boxing.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Because you get concussed over and over and over. You get knocked down, get back, you get over and over and over for 10 rounds, and you still go on fighting. Where MMA, you have 4-ounce gloves, you get hit once, you get knocked out. I'd rather get knocked out by getting hit with a shin to my head or an elbow to my head than get hit 500 times in a fight.
Yeah. That's kind of the difference between like football and rugby. Like rugby's a little less dangerous because you don't have pads on, right? And so people are tackling differently.
Yeah.
I've had this argument. I've had this argument. Even better yet. Okay, in football, you have a guy that can run a 4.2 40, and he's wearing a helmet.
Yeah.
Not to protect him, but to hit you in the freaking clavicle.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
So a rugby guy does not hit as hard as a guy that has a helmet on.
No, and if you watch rugby guys, they don't even like wait to get hit. If they think they're gonna get hit, straight to the ground. Like, and then just toss the ball to someone else. Someone else's problem.
Well, you're also talking about, for me, probably the most athletic specimens are football players.
Yes.
Not endurance. Just as an athlete, they are studs.
They are insane.
Are they the most?
Yeah. The fastest, probably the most like
fastest, strongest.
They go to football. Like they don't go play baseball or some do basketball, but like
I think
most are going to football to like run through people.
Middle linebacker or like safeties are probably the most athletic people in the world.
Safety, yeah, like cornerbacks, safeties, wide receivers, but pretty much on the defensive end is, you know, safeties and nickels and cornerbacks, like because they're hitting people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so crazy. Like I remember back in high school, the like defensive linemen would be like the quick kind of smaller kids. But nowadays it's just 7-foot giants that can run like a 4.6 40.
Yeah.
It's insane, dude.
Massive men.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a little kid, I did a radio show, a sports show. And I was like 13 years. It was like for 13 when I was 13, one summer. And I met the 1986 Mets during the season where they won the World Series. And I met the 86 Giants in their pre-camp before they won the Super Bowl. And the one thing I remember about the Giants, I met Mark Bavaro, I met Joe Morris, and number 86, Lionel Manuel, the wide receiver. And I met them when they were eating. And their trays were fucking massive, man. Dudes had whole chickens on their plate. I kid you not. A whole chicken on
this
his
is
plate
86.
with like potatoes and like shrimp cocktails and bread with butter, because the whole thing is adding on size.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And these are the same guys that are probably like, not all of them, but I'm sure in the 80s, some of them are out doing the blow on Saturday night.
Partying.
Oh, that team?
Sunday.
100% that team.
Yeah.
Giants, yes.
Yeah.
They were notorious. Lawrence Taylor, Mark Bavaro, like all those guys. Pepper Johnson.
Did you grow up in the city?
Yeah.
I grew up in the Bronx.
Okay.
Bronx guy.
Captain America.
Yeah.
Puerto Rican Captain America,
yeah. Hey, MCU will have one eventually.
Eventually, exactly. I mean, the guy's Zoe Saldana. That's like that is literally the only, well, no, the other one too. Isn't the one who plays in Thor, the black girl, isn't she Spanish? Or am I wrong?
Thompson?
Yes, her father's Panamanian.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I love
Yes.
her.
So those are the only two, but no Latin male, like at all.
In the entire MCU?
Name one. There was one that was a
Wait,
villain. There was one that was a villain.
Bautista? Where's Bautista
No.
from?
Bautista's American, I thought.
Is he-
Or-
But we're talking about like
Lead?
his descent, like
Yeah.
his culture.
I see you mean.
Yeah, I think he might be. I think he might be some sort of Spanish.
Yeah, okay.
But Oscar Isaacs was like, he was the only guy that I could think of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He played a villain,
Wars
but
is,
that's it.
Star Wars is killing MCU on that front, right?
Yeah. The movies.
Well, they had the whole Rogue
Rogue
One had like everybody in it. Also,
Mandalorian is.
Mandalorian is Pedro. Yeah.
I love all those shows.
Get your shit together, Kevin.
Yeah. Kevin Feige needs to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll go from the MCU to the DC Arrowverse real fast.
Sure.
Because you played a character who was reintroduced into the comic books when they rebooted everything about 4 years ago. The Dragon Ricardo Diaz. What was it like just playing that character, but also when you first found out that you were going to be that character? Did you have any idea like who that was? Did you research it? What was kind of like that process?
No, I did. I mean, maybe vaguely.
Mm-hmm.
I knew who Richard Dragon was,
mm-hmm.
but I think I got him confused with the Kung Fu comics from Marvel.
Shang-Chi?
No, with Cage and the Kung Fu guy.
Oh, Iron Fist.
Yeah.
Iron Fist.
Okay.
So I think I got him confused with that.
That's awesome.
Maybe. I just,
Okay.
but obviously I did Google and did a little research who the character was. And so, I was excited to play a villain.
Mm-hmm.
I think, my talents definitely suit that character and genre. And so I had a conversation with Mark Guggenheim and Wendy Miracle, the showrunner at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, okay, this is what we want. We want all our bad guys have been over the top.
Yes.
We don't want that. We want to do a change this season because we're on at 9:00 now, so we could go edgy. We want Al Pacino as Scarface. That's what we want.
Oh,
And I go like this.
Now.
I go like this. Oh, okay, yeah, I could totally do that. Yes. And they were like, Al Pacino in, like The Godfather. We just want that slow boil simmering. More so Godfather, they said. And I said, yeah, because I brought up, I said, because of Scarface, he just was chewing scenery. So if you want him less, and we all laughed. They were like, yes, I agree. So not so much Scarface, Al Pacino, but they want Godfather, Al Pacino. And they told me from the beginning, it'll be a slow boil, and then you'll be the big reveal of the bad guy. So I knew from day one what was going to happen.
Okay. I think, whenever it first started out, they had, I don't remember his name now, but he was
from Persons of Interest. And Lost.
Yeah.
Cool, super talented guy.
Really great guy. But
it'll come to us.
He was the big bad, and then all of a sudden, and like you could see that you were part of his crew, and people who had like kind of seen everything and looked into it, it was like, okay, like at some point he's probably going to become the big bad, and then there's that reveal moment. It was like, this is badass.
Well, I had people on Twitter, they were going, dude, why'd you do that part? Like, you're playing someone like the background. And I couldn't say anything because they were right, because I wouldn't do it if I was playing the background.
Yeah, no.
But they were like, seriously, dude? That's fucked up. Arrow's fucking you over. There was all these tweets.
Damn, dude.
It was a circle.
That's funny.
Well, and then they revealed it, and then you had a whole episode where it's kind of your background, but also like a present day with
the Dragon episode. That was cool. Yeah, that was really cool.
That was basically like a 45 to 50 minute, like your own movie. What was it like getting that script and finding out like this is all going to be showcasing me?
Well, the funny thing about that is, so Steven was like, dude, did you read the next script? I go, no, dude, I haven't had a chance. And it would start, hello?
You there? Hey, we got you back.
he goes, dude, it's all you. And I was like, I'm leaving tomorrow for like 2 weeks. I'm like, really? How are you leaving for 2 weeks? Like, he's like, I'm not even in. I go, okay. So then the director, the next episode, he goes, dude, did you read the next? I go, no. He's like, you need to get a script right now.
Yeah, you need
so
to
the problem with when you are not, like the first season, I wasn't a regular. I was reoccurring.
Mhm.
One of the perks of being a regular is you get scripts in advance.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, and me personally, like, if I asked for a script in advance, I would get it. But I was just like, whatever, you know, it's, you get like 4 or 5 scenes a week. It's easy, you know what I mean? So he goes, no, you're in every single scene. It's just you and, what's her name? Katie. It's just you and Katie. I go, really? Because it's just you and Katie.
Yeah.
It's a two-hander. And they go, fuck. So I read the script. I'm skimming through it. I got 8 pages to memorize the next day, and it starts in 8 hours.
Oh, Jesus, dude.
So part of me feels like that could have been, just for performance-wise, 20-30% better if I had the material ahead of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just for me. Just think about it. If you have more time to prep, how much better are you guys with any job, right? Like, so, but I loved it. I mean, I loved it. I'm glad that they gave me the opportunity, and I'm glad that I was the first villain to have their own episode. So that was cool.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, they didn't really do a huge deep dive into each like big bad like.
No,
thing.
I had my own logo. You guys remember I had my
Yeah.
own dragon logo.
Yeah, because they would always do the title card, and then behind it was the dragon.
Yeah.
So,
so that was cool. I was like, love it.
Please tell me you have the dragon logo somewhere in your house, just like.
No, I don't have any. You know, what I had on my chair, so they would all have like Stephen Amell, David Ramsey. And so what I did was I would always put my character name on my chairs. So I just had the prop guys just had the dragon with a flaming dragon on my chair.
Nice.
And so everyone that would come to the show, like the guest stars and everybody goes, that fucking chair is so cool.
Yeah.
But that's what I would do on every show. I would just either do my character name or I would do Kid Vicious.
Okay.
Kid Vicious, or I would do the Devil Prince, which are two little nicknames on my chairs. So, I mean, come on, because you get to keep the back of your chairs.
Right. Yeah.
You have to make it work. I don't want like Kirk. 20 times. So.
Yeah, you can set 50 Kirk chairbacks. Like,
yeah.
Gonna toss those out after a while. Yeah. This has been fun, man. Like we really enjoyed talking with you, and we really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about Arrow and Kingdom. And you said earlier that you don't really know what you're going to be doing once this all ends, but are there projects you want to work on or anything that you have out there?
I mean, I did. This is the problem is that. There was like, you're up for 3 jobs and you're ready to close on 2. And then the whole pandemic happened. And so then projects just go away because you just don't know when that they're coming back. I mean, there's stuff in the works, but we just don't have start dates. So there's nothing I could even say because if I say what a project is, it just might go away. And then, you know what I mean? Like they just might not have the funding or stuff like that. So, yeah. But of course, I mean, for me personally, I just want to definitely I want to do like a Marvel, some sort of Marvel, like a villain or something, just something freaking edgy. Sort of like the Dragon, but just even more edgy, just for film.
Yeah.
Film, you could just do so much more. I even had to taper back. There were so many like edits that got cut out in the editing room floor, like stuff I did with Katie, and it just was too fucking R-rated. They just couldn't even put it in.
You lit a dude on fire. Like, how is that not R-rated?
Yeah, that was cool. Which I was surprised that was allowed in the cut. They were trying to cut it so bad, and that
I bet
they kept that. Even the killing, I killed 19 guys, And even that was the most ever in an episode for Arrow.
Holy
Well, yeah,
Jesus.
is that the prison scene?
No, it was the scene. Was it the scene where you were in the club and you were shooting?
With the club, the house, like all of it. And that's 19 guys that were left in that I killed. There was another 10 that they cut it out.
Yeah,
awesome, dude.
in the episode that's all about him, he goes to a house to like get somebody and kills a bunch of bad guys. He goes to a club and kills a bunch of bad guys, and then he goes into.
And that's not the people that Katie killed. That's just the 19 guys that I killed.
Yeah, and then Katie is off to the side, like using her.
She killed at least like 8 people in that video, and so it was like 32 people got killed in that episode. It was a record. It was just, and I think it was actually a TV record, if I'm not mistaken. So don't quote me on that.
TV episode of John Wick.
But that was the idea.
Yeah.
The funny thing is the black suit, the whole John Wick with the gun. All that was John Wickian, so to speak. So
that's an amazing term. I'm using
John
it. Yeah. You got anything else?
No, you go.
Okay. Well, I see you're pretty political out there on the Twitters.
Yeah.
I don't want to get like political and like all loggerheads or anything. I want the Kirk Acevedo, like, how are we going to get past this coronavirus? What are we going to do about this election? And what is like your hopeful vision for us for the next 18 months?
Okay.
Just give us something rosy.
Okay. Are we in a pandemic?
We are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So we agree on that. Okay.
Yes.
100%.
We're in a pandemic. Okay. Did our president not wear a mask for months and said it's a hoax?
Yeah, no.
Yep.
He did. He did, right?
Oh, I think we can cut to the chase and just say the president's a dick.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
No, but this is the thing. I say this because obviously you'll have some people that watch it who totally disagree with me, who watch the podcast.
Yeah.
My point is that I'm saying is just like this revisionist history, this false narrative, this fake news that's done on purpose because they know they're the ones that are spreading the fake news. It's the false projection, right? Like he doth protest too much. It's all them that are. Anyway, my point is, if we just shut down the country from day one, and what I mean by that is no flights within states, no buses, no Amtrak, nothing. We would have been fine right now.
Yeah, if we'd done exactly what the countries who are fine now did, we would be fine, right? So,
yeah, I mean, you give away our PPE to, they gave like something like 9 tons of PPE to like Russia, right? I mean, it's hysterical. You don't enforce the what's that term with it? You could take over businesses and force them to make
the act that they could enforce, or like GM would have to make.
I forget the name of it. There's a.
And you don't have to pay them.
It is.
It's the most crazy thing. You don't have to pay them. It's just for like national security. It's like what they forced in World War II, like people that made pots and pans to make ammunitions.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And so, Federal Protection Act or something like that.
Yeah,
but
act of some sort.
He didn't implement that act, and refused to. And so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just.
What? Okay, so, but like, is Joe Biden our answer? Is Joe Biden going to come in and fix everything, or what's like? What I'm looking for here is
poking. I'm just like,
I'm poking the bear, but like we talk a lot about on the show about like there is fake news and our fucking leaders are horrible. So it's up to like us, the people, doing shit and like fixing shit. And not waiting for Joe Biden, who the fuck's gonna get in there to fix it. Like, what the fuck are we gonna do about this?
What can we do to help?
Because, like, I'm not.
You could get people to register to vote.
There you go.
Half of this country does not vote. Half of the country does not vote. So the number one thing is, you look at most countries like Denmark and all those like Norwegian and Swedish, Dutch countries, they get like a 95% turnout.
Why is that? Like, I don't get it. We're like the democratic country in the world, but we don't vote.
I mean, it's part of that, like, most people don't get voting day off. Like,
I think.
No, they don't think it matters. They don't think it'll help. most people that are underprivileged, poor communities, whether it's white, black, Hispanic, they don't vote because they feel like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they don't feel like their vote counts anymore because
Yep.
the leaders have been so disconnected from the people that they don't want to waste their time. That's all
Yep.
it is.
When I think like you bringing up like, is Biden going to fix anything, or like, is that really going to help? It's
Well, his VP will, and it'll be the biggest VP selection I think in the history of the United States.
Wait, who do you think?
who do you think he's going to pick, and who do you think he should pick? I think those are two different
Okay.
answers.
So obviously, obviously this is all so nuanced and but obviously the black vote has been huge for Biden and pretty much gave him the nomination over Bernie, right?
Yeah.
So
And collusion.
there is the conversation of obviously it should be a black woman because he's going to pick a woman. Me personally, yes, I agree with that. But my pick was Elizabeth Warren. That was my pick. So part of me is like, out of all the candidates, for me, she was by far the most qualified.
Yeah.
With progressive ideas that were attainable. Whereas, I don't want to get the shitstorm of Bernie Bros after me, but I didn't think half of that stuff was attainable.
It's not like it's just legitimately like there's things that you can say that are like they sound good, but if you can't fund them or you can't pass them, and that's just like.
And plus, the argument, oh, they're gonna come after me with this. The argument of Bernie's only ever had, and listen, I'd fight hard for Bernie if he was our nominee right now.
Yeah.
But my point is, you can't say drain the swamp, but we got to get rid of it. But the one job you've ever had in your life was what? A politician.
Being a politician.
Yeah.
So anyway, but like my wife said, vote the day November 3rd should be a national holiday to vote.
Mm-hmm.
Most countries have off the day they vote.
Well, and here in Dallas, they've made it for where all Dallas ISD employees have that day off now. Like they changed the calendar around.
That's actually shocking that would happen in Texas.
Dallas.
Dallas. I'm surprised by that.
Extremely blue. Like it's like a center of blue and it's surrounded by red.
Wow, I did not know that.
Do you think Kamala Harris is in for the VP slot? Is that a lock?
Yeah, 100%. My wife is like punching me. Yes, that's her favorite. So, yes, you want to ask me my top three, and I think this is what they're figuring out. Because I think if he already knew his VP, they would have already said it already. I think Kamala is like within the top two. I think it's Kamala, and I think it's Elizabeth Warren.
Okay.
And I think they're just picking whether or not if they're playing pros and cons. If we go with an Elizabeth Warren who's progressive, who will get Bernie, the people who are upset, they go, Bernie people will go, well, she is a progressive. There is that comes into play. And then there is the other side of it is like, if we don't pick a black woman, will that bite us in the ass? I don't think that's the case. So
I think if a woman is picked, it'll do pretty much the same.
I just wish it was Lancey Bottoms. Like I wish he wouldn't pick someone we're all so sick and tired of. Like Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris have both been in the Senate forever and been in politics forever. Like
how about this? How about this one? Okay, you guys play chess?
Yeah, it's not. I mean,
not in a while.
Yeah.
God. Okay, so chess is a game like if you're a good player, you could think 5 to 7 moves ahead.
So
if you're a master, you could think a whole game ahead. Literally, you know every move to do if they do a move. So if we're playing chess, the real pick is Julian Castro, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay, I know who this is.
Where is Biden lacking? The Latino vote. I'm like maybe one of 5 Latinos he has this guy. Latino vote. Bernie had what? Bernie had like 56% of Latinos because what was the first thing that Bernie did? Every tweet, every press conference, he would talk about the Latino vote. He would always bring up Latinos. They felt wanted
and heard.
Yeah. And you know what I mean? And so the same way Barack galvanized the black community, they could hate. Listen, let me tell you about Latino people. I'm Puerto Rican. They could hate the Puerto Rican as nominated, but they will vote for one of their own because it's the first.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first. And so you get the Black and Hispanic vote. The Hispanic vote, Latinos in America are 1/5 the population, 60+ million.
Yeah.
1/5 the population.
It's a huge voting block.
Okay, yes. African Americans, I think I want to say 45 million. They're 14%.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, you get the Black and Latino vote, it's a wrap.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's like over 40%.
Okay,
right there.
we were watching Netflix is a new show coming out called Immigration Nation.
Comes out Monday.
It's a documentary all about illegal immigration.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And but they also, what was the other show? But the point is, like, it's so obvious that if like the Hispanic and Latinx communities and the African American communities, if they like somehow found a way to come together and work together, like I think that would be so immensely powerful for both of them. And I think it'd be so good for the country as a whole, because you get those two communities to mesh, and then we can work on everyone coming together. Like, and it's not like two steps like that. It happens all at the same time, but like, it would just be such a good thing.
Yeah, like this is stronger than that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone fragmented is just not strong, right? It's just weaker. But, the problem also is that, within the Latin culture, you have different factions. And what I mean by that, so like Puerto Ricans, I think that Puerto Ricans only amount to like 2.2% of the entire population. I think there's something like maybe 8 to 10 million. And that's not counting Puerto Rico because they cannot vote in the general election. So, but you have Cubans who predominantly vote Republican because of the stance with Cuba, right? Like, but those days have changed now, but it's just a generational thing because that's the way your parents voted. And then another issue is a lot of Latinos are very religious. So that plays into the whole evangelical and, abortion and blah, blah, blah. So the Latino as a whole is fragmented, but it's still, I would say, 75% Democratic.
Right. Yeah.
Progressive Democrats, right? Like, yes. So especially all the young Latinos, which were definitely pro Bernie. He had them on lockdown.
Yeah.
It was actually his biggest base was the Latino community. It wasn't the Black community. It was the Latinos. They held them down.
Yeah.
It's, if the Democratic Party was like, I don't know exactly how to put this, but a little less like against religion, like organized religion, I think they could pull in like 98% of
I think that's an interesting thing where it's like I don't think they're necessarily against religion as a whole. They're just more against like the mixing of religion with government.
No, I think
you have to differentiate those so much.
All it is that the people who tend to be Republican also tend to be religious, and because the Democrats can attack the Republicans' religion as a like thing, that's the only reason.
But it's about the problem is it's about abortion. That's really the problem with the religion. So you have some people who obviously they're anti-abortion, and then you have some religious people that's okay. It's pro-choice. Yeah. That's really the issue with religion. That's the issue.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
It's abortion.
And that issue is so like fraught because I think like 90% of the population can be like, you know what, at some point, like abortion's probably not right, like 2 days before birth, maybe. And then like there's the other part of the population that like,
over 70% of the people of Americans don't want Roe versus Wade overturned.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the majority of Americans, a vast majority, have like an actual nuanced view on abortion. And then it's just like the actual political parties who go crazy about it.
Yeah. But also like the problem is too, right? Like, so we wouldn't even religion wouldn't even be in politics if it wasn't for the Electoral College. If popular vote mattered,
true,
we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Half the stuff we wouldn't even talk about. But the Electoral College is, the most useless fucking thing, and I don't even know why we have it. I know why we have it. I just don't know why we have it. It's just, you're telling me California that has 41 million, 42 million people, South Dakota has the same say as California?
Yeah. I mean, it gets so tricky though, because like if you had the popular vote, then you just have this country where the majority has an
6
iron
states.
fist over the minority, and it just is going to be kind of, I think it plays out the exact same way, right?
But most of those states, if we're talking about the big states, right, the big 6, right, so New York, New Jersey, Florida, Texas, California, and Pennsylvania, right? I think that's the big 6. Guess what? About all those, tons of minorities, most of them were New York, California, Jersey, all Democrat. Florida flips, and you have 2. Pennsylvania usually goes, you know what I mean? Democrat. Mm-hmm. The only one is really Texas,
and that's changing. Texas is changing.
Yeah, Texas is
up for grabs, my friends.
The fact that
3 months out.
Yeah, the fact that Texas is up for grabs in this it's okay. You can at least say it's competitive.
It's going to be competitive.
To say Texas is competitive in this coming election is insane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's actually
not won Texas by 16 points in 2016. Trump.
It's not insane though, because the amount of
ridiculous shit that's happened.
No. The amount of people that don't vote who would vote for Democrats, it should be blue. Like if everyone voted, it would be blue.
Yes, it would be blue. Correct.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah. So.
But in the latest Quinnipiac poll, Biden's up by 1 point.
1 point.
It's unheard of. And even Fox News had them even. So that's how you know how bad it is.
Yeah, bro.
Fox News.
Do you imagine, like, as a Texan, like, we pride ourselves on being, kind of tough, pretty smart, like, rugged, and we're looking at this jackass in the White House, like, what the fuck is this? This is not a man.
This is Texas.
This is like a walking McDonald's ad.
Well, who's the guy? Oh, shit, who said it? It was a senator or someone, like, a week ago. I tweeted about this shit, and he said, the people love Trump because he's a leader. He's a tough man. Like, tough man? This fucker had bone spurs and had 5 deferments. The guy eats McDonald's and drinks Cokes, man. He's obese and out of shape. He's bragging about his cognitive skills.
Just because he can get hopped up on antihistamines and get up on a podium and yell at people doesn't mean he's a tough man. Like,
no.
What
the
the fuck are you
talking about?
He
is not a tough man at all.
No.
This is awesome. I love
you.
this.
You wouldn't whine so much if you're a tough man.
Yeah. No, he literally, I think it was earlier this week, he was like, they were talking about Birx and Fauci, and he goes, yeah, for some reason people just don't like me. Like, I don't know why. It's like, nobody who's
what president has ever said that?
Yeah, nobody who's confident in themselves says like, nobody likes me.
I can't figure it out.
My best friend is, he says he's not a Trumper, but I would say he's a Trumper.
Okay.
I would say he's Trump. And so when all the protests were going on, he doesn't call them protests, he calls them riots. Right? So
that's the first
one.
Kirk,
let me ask you. He's really trying to have a real dialogue with me, right? He's like, let me ask you a question. Like, why are these people, like, why are they so angry and they're burning shit down and blah, blah. I go, okay, well, there are some nefarious characters that are also burning shit down too, right? Yes. But I will say this. Yes, some of the protesters, they are burning stuff down, they are writing, and they are doing things that are illegal. But this is what I'll pose to you. Rick, imagine for 400 years and 250 some odd years of slavery that you are kidnapped, beaten, your mothers, your daughters, your sisters are raped. You're forced to take care of their children, kill your own, and then you're freed and you're still thought of less than, beneath someone. And your black women are just allowed to vote in the 60s 1960.
Yeah.
You go through generations of this anger. You're telling me you guys wouldn't be upset?
Oh, no.
Bro, like there is a good argument, like a really good argument that says even the riots are justified because there has been 400 plus years of brutal and unending subjugation of an entire population.
Correct.
If that, exactly like you're saying, like if that was your family, if that was your people, what would you do?
Yeah.
And like I struggle with this because on the one hand, there's so many more ways to affect change than like destroying your neighborhood. I mean, if you want to affect change, go burn down Washington D.C. It's not that hard. But
correct. I agree with you there. Yes.
yeah, and you know, but on the other hand, like I swear that I might be out there if that were me. Like I don't know where I would be if
But we're talking about it because they are
And that's
burning stuff down. I don't think if they weren't doing that, I don't think it would be as big as it is right now.
right.
It wouldn't be. You have to do extreme measures, and you have to do things that are extreme to get change that you need.
The worst thing is, like, it lasted longer than it has in the past 10 years, but it still is now. It's almost extinguished again. Like, it's still.
Well, that's because they're sending federal cops.
No.
Like
But for
Portland,
for most people, for the average person, it's out of their mind now. They're done thinking about it. Like, almost they should have done more. They should have gone further. And like, you know, I don't know how you fix this. And like,
you get out to vote.
No. I joked about burning down Washington D.C., but we have had this conversation so many times.
They did that once already in the Civil War.
I know. We always get to the point where I'm like, okay, just burn the Constitution, burn everything. We have to start over. Like, literally, we have to do something to start over, or else nothing's gonna change. And
what you have, like, listen, statues of Confederate generals. I don't know about you, but
army bases,
they lost.
Yeah.
Like, listen, they were traitors.
Rebel cause has like army bases named after their like generals. It doesn't make that doesn't.
Fort Hood. I mean, all these.
Right down Whitmere.
But like, why? Like, who thought that was a great idea, man? And then, like, I mean, if people are going to talk about like, what's his face that supposedly discovered America, but he really didn't discover America. Columbus discovered the Caribbean. But anyway, okay. You read real history books, not the ones they taught you in our schools. That fucker killed like 1 million Taino Indians, man.
Yeah.
Massacred people, brought them back as slaves. He didn't find gold. He brought back slaves.
Yeah.
Disgusting, man.
You know what we almost should do? Like, because of how the African American population has been brutalized, how the Native American population is brutalized, how we treat our immigrants, we should almost just say, like, we need a new agency, department, or something, and we need to, like, fix all of this. Fix the reservations. Fix the fucking, like, have a whole cabinet member devoted to just, like, I don't know what you call
relations,
like indigenous and something else populations. Like,
I know, but it all has to be approved, and it has to go through the Congress, and it has to be approved by the Senate, and that's the problem. There's just so much.
Run it down, destroy it all, start over.
And then most of those people are fucking stupid. They don't even know how to put a mask on. Like, their nose is like hanging. I'm like, what the fuck?
Dude.
Okay, I don't want to get off on another tangent, but I'm just going to say this. When I see people who have masks on and it's not covering their nose, that irks me so much. It's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, it's like DeSantis, the first time he wore Governor DeSantis of Florida, where he had the thing like just above his upper lip, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then, like,
that man, there's a lot to talk about that man, but
we have
another idiot
in Texas where they have to wear a mask, right? And there's people that just don't. They're just walking into stores and restaurants and whatnot. Like, I turned around today in Racetrack, a gas station, and this dude was standing in line without everyone else in the store had a mask on. I'm like, oh, no mask today? You good?
Yeah.
And he just like looked at me like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't get it.
It's crazy, man. But even the people that were protesting didn't have masks on, and it wouldn't even matter because you're yelling so hard.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you're fighting, masks are getting moved. Like, dude, like, why can't football games have people? Because they're freaking screaming. It's the worst thing to do.
And getting drunk, close together. Yeah.
Yeah. The rallies. Herman Cain, perfect example.
Yeah. That's such a sad case.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, listen, he's a grown man.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
He made his decision. I mean, if anything, it was assisted suicide. But you know what I mean? But
I have no problem saying he's an absolute dumbass. Like,
he drank the Kool-Aid too.
yeah.
He said before the rally, yes, and masks are what's the terminology if we want to wear them, that we are optional.
Voluntary.
Yeah.
Yeah, optional. Masks are optional, and was bragging about it.
Well,
Yeah.
Karma's a motherfucker, man.
yeah. I mean, everyone should use him as an example because.
I mean, how many people did he infect?
Oh, he didn't have a mask on at the rally, so like God only knows what he
Before
did
the rally, after the rally,
during God only knows how many people he actually infected like the week
and
after.
I'm sure he was like, oh, I don't have the corona, I'm fine, it's just whatever, and then probably infected everyone around him.
How does Trump not have?
I don't.
How?
I bet he got it, and they just haven't like ever.
No, he'd be dead. He'd be dead.
Dude, I feel like Boston's Dynamics is just built in like 10 fucking Trump like
robots
clones to use.
Even if they were giving him hydrochloroquine, it would kill someone his age.
Seriously?
No,
all the side effects.
The disease would.
No,
but the hydrochloroquine for people that have obese, it's super strain on your heart. So
right.
Him being his age, he has high cholesterol. He's on medication for that. Has to be. He's obese.
The dosage you have to take for hydrochloroquine to be effective, that's why the side effects, why they're worried about side effects, is because it does damage certain organs.
Yeah.
He fucked.
I mean, it would fuck with us.
Yeah.
So he couldn't be doing press conferences on hydrochloroquine. So for me, he's never had it. Unless he's asymptomatic. I mean, he could be lucky and have caught it and been asymptomatic. That could be it.
Or they're just keeping him in I don't know. But wow. All right.
This has been an interview, man. I've really enjoyed this, Kirk.
Very cool.
You have Kingdom on Netflix. Arrow is also on Netflix.
Black Donnellys is somewhere. If you haven't seen that, check it out because it is.
iTunes. It'll be iTunes or something.
Okay, there you go.
We'll be reaching back out to you when Tenet eventually comes out. We'll talk
cool.
about
Definitely.
what you thought about Tenet.
I'd love to.
But man, no, seriously, thank you for coming on. We really
My pleasure, guys.
And, we'll talk to you in the future.
Cool. I had a good time.